There is a war being fought right now. No guns, no bombs, no soldiers on the ground. Only silicon, and the nation that controls it. Controls the entire future of the world. For 80 years, America ruled the world through technology. Its dominance felt permanent, inevitable, total. But it wasn't. The world was changing faster than anyone realized. A new era of competition is finally here. One technology changed the equation forever. A chip smaller than a fingernail, more powerful than the computers that sent men to the moon. And America didn't see the shift coming in time. The global balance of power is shifting fundamentally. The signs were everywhere for everyone to see, but the warnings were consistently ignored. And now, the silent siege has already begun. The old technological order is breaking down. This is the story of the Silicon Siege, how a single technology ended the American century, and what happens to a world in transition after the throne of innovation falls empty. Humble men in California garages who believed technology could change the world, but they didn't imagine the world it would eventually build without them. And they were right more than they knew, but the harvest was destined for others. The transistor, the integrated circuit, the microprocessor. Each leap forward was American. Each breakthrough was planted in California soil. Each leap forward was American. Each breakthrough was planted in California soil. That would happen somewhere else. In 1980, Shenzhen was a fishing village of 30,000 people. Today, it manufactures more electronics than any city on Earth. This massive shift didn't just happen overnight. It was carefully and deliberately engineered. America designed the iPhone. China built it. China built it. Precision and mechanical efficiency defined the era. And somewhere in that arrangement, a dependency was born that would become a weapon. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, one island. One company, one island, 90% of the world's most advanced chips. If this facility stopped tomorrow, the global economy would collapse within weeks. One straight, 22 miles of water. Between the most important factory on Earth and the most ambitious military power in history, this is where the siege gets real. The stakes have never been higher. In 2021, the world discovered what happens when chips run out. Car plants shut down. Hospitals waited for medical devices. Billions were lost. And it was only a shortage. Now try to imagine a total blockade. Washington finally began to wake up to the threat. The CHIPS Act, $52 billion to rebuild American manufacturing. But was it too little? And was it already too late? And was it already too late? The Made in China 2025 plan wasn't just a wish list for the future. While America debated, China executed. The Made in China 2025 plan wasn't a wish list. It was a military directive. Every chip lab, every engineer, every breakthrough, part of a single national strategy. Part of a single national strategy. Huawei, the name became a battleground. When America tried to cut them off, they built their own. A corporate fortress in the making. Huawei, the name became a battleground. When America tried to cut them off from chips, they didn't collapse. They built their own. The most powerful weapon in the chip war is Dutch. ASML's EUV machine, the only tool that can print the world's most advanced chips. America convinced Holland to stop selling them to China. The question is, for how long? But China has a weapon of its own, rare earth minerals, the building blocks of every semiconductor and advanced weapon. China controls 85% of global processing. America controls none. China's export routes spread across the globe like veins. Every F-35 fighter contains 3,000 chips. Every guided missile, every naval radar, every satellite. America's military runs on silicon. And that silicon increasingly comes from one island. Inside the Pentagon, this has a name, the single point of failure. TSMC is building in Arizona. Intel is rebuilding in Ohio. America is spending $500 billion to reclaim what it gave away. But the chip gap is measured in decades, not just in dollars. But the chip gap is measured in decades, not just in dollars. The siege extends to space. China's Beidou system now rivals GPS. Space is the next theater of the war, and China is already ahead. The siege extends to space. China's Beidou navigation system now rivals GPS, running on Chinese chips. Every breakthrough is part of a single national military strategy. America's weapon was the export ban. Deny China the tools to build advanced chips. America is not fighting this alone. Japan, Korea, the Netherlands. It was a calculated bet, but it came with a price. It was a calculated bet, but it came with a significant price. NVIDIA's chips became the oil of the AI age. The H100 created a black market overnight. NVIDIA's chips became the oil of the new artificial intelligence age. Chips are being smuggled across borders through a complex underground. The chip black market is worth hundreds of billions. Ghost companies, false manifests, shell corporations spanning 3 continents. The chip black market is worth hundreds of billions of dollars today. The most valuable contraband in history doesn't look like drugs, it looks like electronics. Ghost companies and shell corporations span across 3 continents. America sanctioned them. China responded by making America irrelevant. Beijing has a plan. It always has a plan for self-sufficiency. Every analyst agrees. The question isn't whether, it's only when. The Made in China 2025 plan wasn't a wish list. It was a military directive. Every chip lab, every engineer, every breakthrough, part of a single national strategy. The military dimension is no longer theoretical. It is closing the distance. China has conducted its largest Taiwan Strait exercises in history. Every analyst agrees the question isn't whether, it's when. Taiwan lives inside this paradox every day. The world needs their chips. China wants their land. America's military runs on silicon. And that silicon increasingly comes from one island. And the 23 million people between those 2 facts are simply trying to live. The world needs their chips. China wants their sovereign land. The world needs their chips. China wants their land. America is not fighting this alone. Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, the Chip Alliance is building a wall of technology. Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, building a massive wall of technology. America is not fighting this alone. Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, a new kind of NATO, not for land, but for critical silicon. Not for land, but for silicon. Chips are not just about hardware. They are the fuel for AI. The nation that wins the chip war will win the global AI war. The simulations are classified. The outcomes are definitely not. Intel is America's last great chip manufacturer, and it is struggling. What happens when the chip that built an empire becomes a weapon? China is training AI on chips it was never supposed to have. But revolution doesn't wait for its founders. The stakes are global. Every day, billions of dollars in chips cross the Pacific. They power your phone, your car, your hospital's MRI machine. AI-controlled drones and hypersonic targeting are now a reality. AI-controlled drones, autonomous weapons, hypersonic targeting. AI-controlled drones, autonomous weapons, hypersonic targeting, every one of them runs on chips. The silicon siege has a military face, and it is closer than we think. Intelligence agencies have war-gamed the chip blockade scenario. Day 1, markets crash. Day 30, military readiness collapses. The simulations are classified, the outcomes are not. Silicon Siege, part 2 of this series is coming very soon. Day 1, markets crash. Day 30, military readiness collapses. The fight for the future is now. Intel is America's last great chip manufacturer, and it is fighting for its life. This is the company that must not fail. For decades, we gave it all away. Now we're trying to take it back. Intel is America's last great chip manufacturer. Every day, billions of dollars in chips cross the Pacific. They power your phone, your car, your hospital's MRI machine. Every day, billions of dollars in chips cross the Pacific. They power your phone, your car, your hospital's MRI machine. They also power the missiles pointed at the democracies that build them. Part 1 ends here, with a question that no general, no economist, no president has yet answered. What happens to America when the chip that built its empire becomes the weapon that ends it? The siege has begun, and the world is watching. Wait for part 2, the breaking point. The first siege was economic. The second siege is scientific. China is no longer trying to steal American technology. It is building something America has never seen. China's big fund, $50 billion deployed into chip manufacturing in a single year. This is not merely an investment. It is, in fact, weaponized capital. America's private market cannot match the speed of a state on a mission. SMICS, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, blacklisted by America, funded by Beijing, and still producing chips that surprised the world. When Huawei released a 7nm chip using SMIC, Washington was silent. The chip war extends below the ocean. 95% of the world's internet traffic travels through undersea cables. China and Russia both have the capability. And the motive? To cut them. Every critical system in America runs on chips it cannot replace. Power, finance, medicine, defense. Cut the chips, and civilization goes dark. Everything is connected, everything is vulnerable. For decades, America trained the world's chip engineers and then sent them home. Half of Silicon Valley's PhDs were born in China or India. The knowledge transfer was never on a server. It was in a human brain. Walking through an airport, leaving with the future. The FBI opens a new China-related counterintelligence case every 12 hours. Semiconductor IP is the single most targeted technology. The siege isn't just military, it's being fought in boardrooms, labs, and hotel lobbies. Invisible wars, visible consequences. ARM Holdings, the company that designs the instruction set for 99% of mobile chips. Based in Britain, owned by a Japanese firm, used by Apple, Samsung, and the Chinese military. It is the most important company most people have never heard of. Apple designs the most advanced chip on the planet. It is built in Taiwan, assembled in China by workers earning $4 an hour. America's greatest technological triumph and its greatest geopolitical liability. Chips depend on lithium. Lithium depends on mining. And mining increasingly runs through countries watching China, not America. The supply chain is a spider's web. Pull one thread, the whole web trembles. China's Belt and Road Initiative was never just about roads. It was about locking up the raw materials that chips require. While America built think tanks, China built mines, securing the foundations of the future. Samsung is the world's largest memory chip maker. Korea is a US ally, but also China's largest trading partner. When the war comes, Seoul will be asked to choose. That choice will determine everything. Japan is the silent pillar of the chip world. It produces 50% of the specialty chemicals needed to make any advanced semiconductor. A map highlighting Japan's role in chip chemical supply, fluorinated compounds, photoresists, etchants. No Japan, no chips, it's that simple. The chip wars are not only about machines. They are about chemistry, the invisible layer beneath every circuit. Disrupt Japan's critical chemical exports and supply, and every fab on Earth goes dark. TSMC runs at over 90% capacity every day. It is the most productive and consequential factory in human history. One bomb or one blockade, and the global economy enters freefall. NVIDIA became the most important company in the world. Not because of gaming, because of AI. Every AI model, every chatbot runs on their chips, powering the intelligence of the machine age. China can't match the H100, not yet. But they are building their own, faster than anyone expected. The gap is 5 years, then 3. Then, the question becomes irrelevant. The US Navy's most advanced submarines run on chips built in Taiwan. The irony is geometrically perfect. The vessels assigned to defend Taiwan are powered by the island they're protecting. Reshoring chips to America is more complex than it sounds. Interior of a Tijuana electronics assembly plant. Workers packaging chips for American brands. A supply chain visualization. Chip designed in America, printed in Taiwan, assembled in Mexico, sold globally. Aerial shot of a US-Mexico border crossing. Trucks lined up, carrying electronics northward. TSMC Arizona began producing chips in 2024. Interior of the Arizona fab, the first advanced chips rolling off American soil in a generation. A political ceremony. The US president and TSMC CEO at a ribbon cutting in Phoenix, cameras everywhere. Aerial shot pulling back from the Arizona fab. Small against the desert, enormous in meaning. Close-up of a satellite image showing China's rare earth mining expansion. New pits opening across Jiangxi and Inner Mongolia. Aerial shot of a processing facility where raw rare earths become semiconductor-grade materials. Tracking shot of Chinese rare earth exports being loaded onto ships. Massive cargo, meticulously organized. A global trade map showing rare earth flows. Everything goes out from China. Nothing comparable comes in. Time-lapse of the US semiconductor workforce gap. Charts showing the shortfall of engineers needed versus available. A community college semiconductor training program. Non-traditional students learning fab operator skills. Aerial drone shot over Arizona State University's new semiconductor engineering school. Construction underway. An American semiconductor engineer in their 50s training younger workers on clean room equipment, passing down knowledge. Aerial shot of Taiwan's Hsinchu Science Park, the capital of the chip world. Dense, purposeful, humming. Inside a Hsinchu chip packaging facility, engineers in white suits with tweezers and electron microscopes. Tracking shot of a Taiwanese chip engineer commuting to work, passing a military base, a temple, a tea shop. Aerial wide shot of Hsinchu at dusk, the city that holds the future, glowing quietly under a purple sky. A US congressional hearing room, senators grilling a chip executive, cameras, microphones, frustration in the air. Close-up of the executive's hands on the table, composed but with the slight tremor of a person under examination. Screenshot of export control legislation being marked up, bureaucratic language masking geopolitical warfare. Aerial shot of Capitol Hill at night, all lights on, the machinery of government grinding through crisis. Aerial shot of India's new semiconductor initiative site in Gujarat, vast empty land being transformed. Inside Tata Electronics' new chip fab being built in partnership with foreign firms, scale is ambitions. An Indian government official standing before a map showing planned semiconductor clusters across the country. Aerial drone shot over Bengaluru's tech district. Thousands of engineers, a new chip power emerging. Close-up of a quantum computing prototype. Strange and beautiful, unlike anything in conventional computing. Inside IBM's quantum computing research facility, a chandelier of gold and copper cooling systems. A Chinese quantum laboratory, engineers in a cryogenic chamber environment, government officials watching. A visualization of quantum encryption breaking classical encryption, cascading code breaking, then silence. Drone shot over an American venture capital firm in San Francisco, morning commuters entering. Close-up of a pitch deck, next generation semiconductor startup, Series A. Interior of a chip startup's lab, young engineers prototyping new architectures on shoestring budgets. A whiteboard filled with equations and chip designs, a hand circling the key innovation, camera pushing in. Inside a DARPA research lab, engineers testing photonic chips that transmit data using light instead of electrons. A visualization of neuromorphic computing, chips that mimic the human brain's architecture, glowing, organic looking. Aerial shot of DARPA headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, unassuming, significant. A DARPA researcher holding a prototype chip the size of a thumbnail, billion operations per second. Aerial approach to the Taiwan Strait from above cloud cover, breaking through into gray morning light. PLA naval exercise footage, ships in formation, jets conducting simulated strikes. Taiwan's air defense radar pinging, operators tracking multiple aerial contacts, practiced calm. An American satellite image being transmitted to a U.S. carrier group command center, TSMC location marked. Aerial shot of a U.S. Space Force Satellite Operations Center, operators monitoring orbital assets. Visualization of GPS satellite constellations, circles of light orbiting Earth. China's Beidou Navigation System headquarters, engineers tracking their own constellation. A soldier in the field using a navigation device, the signal coming from U.S. or Chinese satellites. Aerial drone fly-through of Beijing's new tech district in Haidian, futuristic, government-directed. Inside a Baidu AI research lab, voice recognition, facial tracking, autonomous driving systems. A surveillance camera network visualization, thousands of cameras linked by AI, a smart city in real time. Close-up of a facial recognition algorithm identifying a pedestrian in a crowd in real time. Aerial shot of Xinjiang, vast, flat, dotted with surveillance towers and razor wire facilities. Close-up of the chip-powered facial recognition terminal at a checkpoint, the scan taking 0.3 seconds. A visualization of the social credit system powered by chip infrastructure, scores rising and falling in real time. A human rights researcher in a Western office reviewing surveillance data, identities tracked and cross-referenced. A U.S. tech executive testifying to Congress about China's surveillance technology, measured, worried. Close-up of a Hikvision surveillance camera, Chinese-made, installed in American cities and airports. Aerial shot of a U.S. government building with Chinese-made cameras visible on the facade, labeled in small print. A technician removing Chinese surveillance cameras from a U.S. federal building, replacing them with domestic equipment. Aerial night shot of a Chinese carrier group in the Pacific, lights on the water, power projected. An American carrier group responding, jets in the air, radar scanning, a dance of deterrence. Close-up of a naval officer watching both groups on a tactical display, the gap measured in miles, tension in decades. Wide aerial shot of the Pacific at night, 2 fleets, 1 ocean, the scale of the standoff. Slow aerial drift over TSMC's Hsinchu campus at night, lights burning, fabs running. Close-up of a chip being placed in a final package, and the last step of a million-step journey. Aerial pullback from Taiwan to reveal the Pacific Ocean. The island shrinking, the stakes expanding. A single chip spinning slowly in black space and the world reflected in its surface. The worst-case scenario has a schedule. It has been war-gamed. It has been war-gamed and briefed at the highest levels. And the simulation always ends the same way. If China moves on Taiwan, TSMC has protocols. Shut down the EUV machines. Destroy the classified lithography recipes immediately. Make the most valuable factory in history useless. Day 1 of a Taiwan blockade, markets lose $3 trillion. By day 10, supply chains begin failing globally. By day 30, the word economists use is cascade. The US military maintains a classified chip stockpile, enough for approximately 60 days of conflict. After that, improvisation. The US military maintains a classified chip stockpile, enough for approximately 60 days of conflict. After that, improvisation. The siege scenario, not invasion, blockade, no ship enters, no chip leaves. The most devastating weapon in the history of economics, deployed without firing a single shot. Within 72 hours of a Taiwan blockade, Singapore becomes the most important city in the world. Every cargo route on Earth is attempting to recalculate, and none of them are working as intended. The global auto industry will halt in mere weeks. Not because the roads are blocked, but because the supply is gone. Because the chips to control the brakes, the engines, the dashboards do not exist. Healthcare is on the list. MRI machines, pacemakers, insulin pumps. Every medical device on Earth relies on a chip. And every chip has an address rooted in Taiwan. The power grid runs on chips, smart meters, transformer control systems, distribution management. A chip shortage long enough and the lights go out globally. Not from a direct kinetic attack, but from pure systemic entropy. The economic models were built for disruption, not total decapitation. A Taiwan blockade isn't a disruption, it is a fundamental break. It is the removal of the keystone from the global economic arch. Everything that follows is pure gravity. China's playbook doesn't require a full-scale invasion. Control the strait, control the chips, control the world's response. By the time America acts, the economic leverage is already deployed. The UN convenes. It convenes as it always does, in a building, with words. And China, having planned for 20 years, is not moved by words. The alliances were built for armies, not for chip blockades. In 1949, no one wrote a treaty for this kind of war. The Silicon Siege has no Geneva Convention. Deterrence, the most expensive word in military history. 3 carrier groups, 200 aircraft, and the fate of the chip industry, all holding position, waiting. Taiwan has lived with this threat since 1949. It has also built the most essential technology in human history under that threat. Resilience is not just a chip specification, it is a way of life. At the intersection of chips and ballistics, a new doctrine is written. Not mutually assured destruction, mutually assured economic collapse. The chip is the new nuclear weapon, and everyone has already pressed the button. Crisis accelerates innovation. The best engineers in America are working on the chip that doesn't need Taiwan. Whether they finish in time is the question the next decade answers. The world is trying to diversify before the siege, but building a fab takes 5 years, and China took 50. There is no shortcut to strategic depth. Somewhere in a lab that doesn't appear in press releases, an American engineer is working on a chip that makes the entire siege irrelevant. That is the American bet. That genius will outrun geopolitics. It always has, until the one time it doesn't. The price of chips rises. The price of everything chips touch rises with it. Your phone, your car, your thermostat. The siege is already economic, even before it becomes military. The first shots of the Silicon War are invisible. Cyber attacks on chip design databases, infrastructure probing. The war began. You didn't hear it. The fabs run. They always run. Because the moment they stop, the world stops. The pressure of that knowledge rests on engineers who signed no military oath. The Strait of Malacca, the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, 3 choke points, and China controls 2 of them already. Autonomous weapons don't wait. They process, they decide, they act in 0.003 seconds. The chip war is also the war for whether humans remain in the loop of their own destruction. The most advanced military in history is also the most chip-dependent military in history. Capability and vulnerability are the same word, spelled differently. The G7 declared chip security a global priority. The declaration was unanimous. The action plan, less so. In the gap between declaration and action, the siege advances. America is fighting back, not with armies, with fabs, with engineers, with capital directed at a single strategic purpose. It is not fast enough, it may never be, but it is happening. China's chips are not yet competitive, but competitive is not the threshold. Good enough is. And good enough for domestic use, for AI, for missiles, for surveillance, is already here. Every analysis converges on the same window, 2027 to 2032. The years when China reaches sufficient chip self-reliance, the years when American leverage evaporates. The most honest assessment came from an official who asked to remain unnamed. We are behind, they said, and we are not catching up fast enough. That assessment was given in 2023. Nothing has changed. ASML is the only company in the world that makes EUV machines. One company, one product, one location. It is the single greatest choke point in the entire chip supply chain. And it employs 44,000 people in a small Dutch city most people can't find on a map. China is trying to build its own EUV machine, the most complex machine ever made by humans. Every analyst who has studied the problem says it's possible. They say possible, they don't say impossible. That is the warning. TSMC is defended by an army, not because the army can stop an invasion, but because buying hours to run the shutdown protocol changes the entire calculation. Taiwan's most important military objective is not land, it is time. China's leadership has made this statement formally, repeatedly, and without ambiguity. Whoever controls the chip controls the future. The silicon siege is not an accident, it is a policy. Part 3 ends in tension, not resolution, because the fire in the machine hasn't gone out. It has only found a new form. America is not defeated, not yet, perhaps not ever. Not yet, perhaps not ever. But the age of effortless technological dominance, that age ended in a chip fab on an island most Americans couldn't name. The American comeback begins in Ohio, not Silicon Valley, Ohio. Because the future isn't built where it's invented, it's built where the will is. TSMC Arizona Phase 2 begins production. The most advanced chips in the world, made in the United States. It is not enough, but it is real. And real is where every great thing begins. The world is building redundancy. Slowly, imperfectly, expensively. But the era of single point of failure chip geography is ending. Taiwan is still the center, but it is no longer alone. Diplomacy didn't solve the chip war. It managed it. Diplomacy didn't solve the chip war. The two great powers discovered that they could not afford to let it become a real war, because both sides run on the same chips. Taiwan endures because Taiwan has made itself indispensable. Because Taiwan has made itself indispensable. It is the smallest piece on the board with the power to end the game. And it knows it. Hsinchu Science Park at night. China reached 5 nanometer. China is not surrendering to sanctions. Without the machine it was supposed to need. The export ban slowed them. It did not stop them. The chip race is not just between America and China. It is between TSMC and Samsung, between Arizona and Dresden, between today and whatever comes after silicon. Competition is the engine. The question is, competition for what future? Silicon has a physical limit. The laws of physics set a floor below which transistors cannot shrink. We are approaching that floor. What waits on the other side will make the current chip war look like a rehearsal. The next chip war is quantum. The nation that achieves stable, scalable quantum computing will break every encryption on Earth. We'll be able to simulate materials that make today's chips primitive. We'll render the silicon siege an ancient history. The answer to the chip war is not a trade policy. It is not a tariff or a sanction or a military deployment. It is a 16-year-old in Ohio learning to build the future. The siege ends when the next generation starts. America's greatest strength was never its government. It was its capacity to invent the thing that makes the previous thing obsolete. The silicon siege lit a fire under it. The Pacific is not a battlefield yet. It is a marketplace, a lifeline, a mirror, reflecting two civilizations asking the same question. Can we build a future that neither of us destroys? This is also what the silicon siege is about. Not just missiles and markets. A heartbeat, a saved life, a moment of medicine made possible by a chip. The stakes are not abstract. They live in the body. Chips are not only weapons. They are medicine, they are food, they are education. The silicon siege is fought at the top, but its consequences fall on everyone. The political will arrived late, and in the history of democracies, arriving late is often enough if the response is real, slowly, with enormous friction. America is rebuilding what it dismantled. China is not surrendering to the sanctions. Every barrier America builds, China engineers around. This is not a country that has ever accepted the limits others set for it. The supply chain is changing. Not fast enough for any analyst, but faster than any government. The market is solving what politics could only describe. It is a democracy of 23 million people. People who go hiking, who work from home, who make their children do homework. The silicon siege is about power, but Taiwan is about people. Morris Chang built TSMC from nothing. He said, without semiconductors, there is no modern civilization. He wasn't making a corporate pitch. The world's most important factory makes one product per week. It costs $400 million. It requires 100,000 parts. And without it, no chip anywhere at any node below 7 nanometer can be made. The future that ends the Silicon Siege is a future of distribution. Not one nation, not one island, not one company. The most dangerous word in technology is single. The future must be plural. America's century was built on the belief that it could make anything. It is buying it back, one chip at a time. The price is measured in billions. The alternative is measured in sovereignty. Still in the game. Not winning, not ahead. For the nation that once defined the rules, this is the most honest assessment available. Taiwan will remain dominant for years, perhaps decades. But the era of single-source dependence is closing. What replaces it is not stability, it is a different kind of tension. The people who build chips do not think about the Silicon Siege. They think about nanometers, about yield rates. The geopolitics is above them. The technology is beneath all of us. China is not the enemy. When managed badly, they produce wars. Every chip that arrives safely is a small victory. Every lab that opens in Arizona or Ohio is a larger one. The siege is not won in a single moment. It is contested every hour on production floors and in research labs.